Everybody in this room wants two things. Everybody wants to be successful and everybody wants to be happy. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to do. You're going to change your mindset. I ain't got no more than none of y'all got. God gave me the same thing he gave y'all. He don't love me more than he loved you. But you have got to change your mindset. If you think that they're going to mail this money to your house, you're dead wrong about that. If you want to be successful, you got to change your mind and you're going to have some faith.
My mentor said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I got the message. Then he added, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you could make a fortune. I had never heard that kind of philosophy before. He said, success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you develop, something you become. You attract success. To attract attractive people, you must be attractive. To attract committed people, you must be committed. So the whole key to unlock all the treasures is by your own personal development. And then he added one more, which is so important. Here it is. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. The major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here? The major question to ask on the job is what am I becoming here? Because what you become attracts. If you become cynical, you attract cynicism. So this whole subject of personal development was so vitally important to me. I was a millionaire by age 31. And that was just the economic part of it. It was unbelievable.
To me, success is like knowing the combination to a lock. If you know the combination to a lock, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you're 55 or you're 16, your IQ is 150 or your IQ is 93. And the problem is, most of us are going through life and we don't know the combination. And if you know a system always produces a predictable result. And so I want to share with you the basics of a system that works. No matter what you're starting out at, wherever you are, it will work for you. Now, the promise I always make people is threefold. If you do this work and you apply it to your life, and the key is apply it, not just listen to it. Now, Jim Rohn says you can't hire other people to do your push-ups for you. I love that quote. There are things that no one else can do for you. So the first principle, building on that, says you must take 100% responsibility for your life and your results. And what that means is you have to give up all blaming, all looking out at the world and saying, well, if the world were different, then I would be better off. We go through all these things where we say, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the war, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for her, then my life would be working perfectly. But there's a little formula I learned. It says E plus R equals O. And what that stands for are the events in your life. You have a response to them, and that creates outcomes. For example, if I put $200 in front of you and you go out and party with it, but if I put that $200 in front of you, that's the event. Your response is you invested, so now your net worth went up. Same event, different responses. Basically, it's not what people say to you. It's not what they do to you. And if you want a different outcome, because E plus R equals O is like 2 plus 2 equals 4, responsibility means you have the ability to change your response to something other than what you're currently doing. So basically, we are responsible to change our behavior until we get the outcomes we want. I want to give you a business example. A friend of mine during the first Gulf War was a Lexus dealer, and people stopped coming in to buy Lexuses. They were all watching CNN and CNBC, and plus we were having a minor recession, so people were holding on to their discretionary income. He said to his staff, E plus R equals O. There's a war. Our response is we've been doing the same thing. We better do something different. So they tried 4 things. They said, if the people aren't coming to us, let's take cars to where they are. So they would go out with 5 or 6 Lexuses, and they'd go to a party. They go up and say, Tom, what do you do for a living? And then I would say, have you ever driven a Lexus? You know, we have a new LS400 outside, never been ridden by anyone. It's got the new seats that have the air that comes out that can keep you warm or keep you hot. Would you like to take a little spin with me, see what it's like? Now, you come back in. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever test driven a new luxury car and then got back in your old car. Well, they ended up selling over 60% of the people they did that with a new car within 2 weeks. And if you keep experimenting like that, you'll find the R that works, but you have to be willing to take a risk. And the reason most of us don't do that is we don't want to feel uncomfortable, because all new things require discomfort. Now, most of you remember learning to drive a car, but after a couple months, you're there driving with your knee, you got a Big Mac in your left hand, you're breaking up a fight in the back seat with the kids with your right hand. But you have to be willing to go through that awkward, uncomfortable stage. So what I want you to do is to realize that life is an experiment. You have lots of responses that are possible. So there's 3 kinds of responses. Number 1 is your behavior. Number 2 is your thoughts. Number 3 is the images you hold in your head. What you say and do, the thoughts you think, and the imageries that you hold inside your head. When you say, I can't, when you focus on your failures instead of your successes, and when you surround yourself with people who are judgmental rather than encouraging and empowering, it actually has a physical effect on you. So we have to be very careful where we place ourselves and who we hang out with and who we surround ourselves with. And one of the principles here is you have to eliminate the phrase, I can't, from your vocabulary. I'll try. Those are all ways of saying, I'm not capable. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. Because if you think you can, you will try. And if you try, you're probably going to pull it off. And if you think you can't, you won't. And if you don't try, then you're not going to get it done at all. Make sense? I can tell you story after story. I met a kid named Kyle Maynard last year. He has no legs past the knees. He was the number 2 wrestler in the state of Georgia his senior year in high school. Can type 150 words a minute with the stubs of his arms. When I hear that and I look at these people, I think, what's my excuse? There's nothing you can't do. And all those people that are out there that are doing anything that you go, wow, that's great, is just a model that says this is possible. And if they can do it, I can do it. Now, another principle is you've got to surround yourself with positive people. Jim Rohn said, again, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends are victims and their lives aren't working and their marriages don't work and they're not making money, that's a reflection back. And what I teach people is always try to get with the people that are the next level up. Get in their space, learn what they do, how they think, etc. General Wesley Clark, who I interviewed, said, it doesn't take any more effort to dream a big dream than it takes to dream a small dream. Most people hone down their dream because they can't see how they can do it. Dream as big as you want. Big dreams are exciting. Big dreams attract big people. Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. You may have to learn some new skills. You may have to partner up with some people, but all of that is possible if you'll simply dream the big dream. Does that make sense? So trust your dreams.
Here's what I realized, that if you're not willing to take a chance on you and reach beyond your comfort zone, you'll never discover the greatness that you have within yourself to experience more. Do something beyond your comfort zone. Learn something new so you can see what's in you. So you want to maximize this time. You want to make your move right now. If you're not willing to learn anything new, no one can help you. But if you're willing to learn something new, no one can stop you. So the people that are going to come out on top, they're hungry. Most people are conditioned to do just enough to keep from getting fired, where they've been paid just enough to keep from quitting. You got to be hungry. You have to get your stuff together. Doing just enough to get by? No. Anything can be mastered if you're willing to put in the time and focus yourself on learning how to do that to make yourself stand out. Do not go where the path may lead. Go where there's no path and leave a trail.
I want you to max out your life. I want you to max out your business. See, you were made to do something great with your life. Every single day has to be a pursuit to get better, to grow. You got to get a little bit more intense. You got to stop being so dadgum casual.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit, right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day. You can skip a day or two. You know, it allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency, right? You go to the dentist twice a year, your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth every day for 2 minutes. What does brushing your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes do? Nothing. Unless you do it every day, twice a day for 2 minutes. Right? It's the consistency. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. But it's the daily practice of all the monotonous, little, boring things like brushing your teeth that matter the most.
If I were to be interviewed by somebody about my success, I think my answer would surprise them. The key to success in my life is consistency. I know that is a very boring word. Same thing day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. There's nothing jazzy about it. Just, I do it all the time. Consistency. And how you need to prove is that you need to start very simple and you need to do it daily. Don't start on a grand scale. Don't make the mistake that people who start their garden for the first year make, and that is they plant way too many seeds and have way too big of a garden, and about a month later they curse what they've done. Just start small. The law of consistency says motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing.
Growth in life requires consistency. It's underrated. It's not celebrated. A lifestyle of consistency may not get Instagram popularity, but you best believe that consistency has an immense amount of power. Ask any professional, ask any CEO, ask anyone who has done anything with their life and with what God has given them, and they will say it wasn't just their gift, it was a lot of hard work, it was days where they wanted to quit and they kept pressing through. It's the power of consistency. It can shape your career. It can shape your marriage. It can bring you into financial success and a place of flourishing.
When people are really successful, at least in some area of their life, they're not just lucky, but they're consistent. They're consistent over time. And I tell our team all the time that successful people do consistently what other people do occasionally. Let me say that again. In some area of life, there's consistency, there's persistence, there's patience, because successful people tend to do consistently what other people do occasionally. I just want to say humbly that the life that you want, whatever it is, in your finances, in your friendships, in your ministry, with your children, with business, whatever it is, it's never the result of a few lucky decisions, but is always a result of countless, consistent, seemingly small decisions done over time. I always tell myself it's the small things that no one sees that lead to the big results everyone wants. It's consistency and faithfulness in the small things over time.
Because for one, look at the culture we're in. Our society celebrates overnight success and not the process that it took. We don't celebrate the fact that it took someone 20 years to become an overnight success, but we celebrate the moment of, wow, where did they come from? Look at that. They went viral. And now we build our whole lives on going viral. That's not how it works. Consistency. There was consistent effort. That you see, consistency, the fruit of consistency is not immediate. It's not the moment you become consistent. It's like, after 7 days or 7 months, you may not see results. It's not immediate. And oftentimes we are pulling strength from results. And it's normal, right? When you have results, you find yourself motivated. When you see the results of your hard work, you're like, "Oh God, this was awesome. Let's keep going." But when you're in the stage where no one sees the work you're doing, where it's almost like writing a script, we are excited about the movie when we watch it, but we don't understand what it took to actually put the script together. And so when we don't see results, we sometimes find ourselves losing courage. We find ourselves in this place of being discouraged. We've been plagued by this idea of overnight success. It's not real, family. It takes hard work, it takes effort, it takes consistency. We have to get to the place that we are lovers of process and not moments. Because moments come and moments go. You have to be a lover of process and not just waiting for a moment. And that is why the scripture tells us in Galatians, it says, in due season you would reap if you do not lose heart, because the end of faith is manifestation. And so get consistent, family. It is the place of your power. It is the thing that will lead you to what you actually desire, but you need to you need to have accountability in your life.
The problem, and you know this, at some level, you feel it, that when you do the small right things or don't do the small wrong things, a lot of times you don't see very fast results. You're trying, but you don't see a lot of immediate life change. So if you're like me or a lot of people, you tend to get frustrated, you get discouraged, and you often feel like quitting. Don't give up. And here is probably the most important thing we'll say all day, the big principle. If you don't like what you're reaping, change what you're sowing. If you don't like the harvest, change the seed. If you don't like what you're reaping, change what you're sowing. It's not what we do occasionally that makes the difference. It's what we do consistently. If you don't like what you're reaping, change what you're sowing. But you will reap a harvest. If you do not give up.
I see so many people that quit, and I don't look down on them, but they allow discouragement to rule them instead of letting God rule them. Much blessing comes to people who simply refuse to quit. Oh, those people see blessing that other people don't see. And this is what God is saying to us. He wants us to be consistent. He wants us to experience the benefits of consistency, the benefits of diligence. Let's get the godly routines in our lives, and then let's stick with them.
There's a little thing that I like to say, just keep on keeping on. When you feel like you can't take one more step, just go ahead and take one more step. And then one more step after that. And I can promise you that no matter what kind of a problem you have, if you will make that decision, I am never going to give up.
Many people, they face a day or a bad season or a setback, or they're not seeing things that they hope to see when they hope to see them, and so they give up. And you began to be you didn't remain steadfast, remain consistent. But there's not a lot of things that grow on the hilltop, but there is a lot of things that grow in the valleys. And in your life, you might be in a valley tonight. I just want to encourage you to be consistent with your faith. Be a person that chooses in these moments to step back, pull back, and see the big picture. To see that this is just one thing in a long journey, and when I stay steadfast over the long haul, I'm going to see God's goodness. I can trust Him to get me to my destiny at the right time. The Bible says the righteous fall 7 times, but they what, church? They get back up. Reaching your destiny is going to require you consistently getting back up. Getting back up from the critics, Getting back up from gossip, getting back up from a setback, getting back up from a closed door, getting back up from striking out, getting back up from a whole lot of stuff. Get up. Believe. Trust God. And watch Him take you places in this next chapter of your life.
Hey there, welcome to my channel Based Strong Motivation. Today I speak the Key to Success 2024. Look, it does not matter if you are male, female, you are 55. Your problem is most of us are going through life and we don't know the combination produces predictable result, and so I want to share with you basic of system that works wherever you are. It will work for make people is there, apply it to your life, and the key now and says your push. I love that quote. There are things that no one else for you. So the first principle building and for you results and maybe or looking world and saying different we go through and things that it was and was not. My life would be working perfectly, but there's learned equals what that stands for the event them and that creates outcomes. For example, if and a party with it, but if the event your response is you invested, so now your different response basically it's not what people you, and if you want different outcome and responsibility means you have the ability change your response to something other currently doing so basically, and responsible behavior outcomes we want. I want to give you during the first wire coming in to buy Lexus